Liverpool's double quest for trophies this year has been a team effort, and certainly the performances individually of Mo Salah, his figures don't compare quite to last year, Stevie. 19 fewer goals from the Egyptian, but still such a focal point. How would you describe his season individually and how he's contributed to the team?
Listen, if you took last year's goals tally away, most people would say that this year has been a success. But unfortunately, we can't do that. You know, he set a benchmark that we're all going to hold him to last season. And there's no way other than to say that he hasn't reached that peak this year. But to have a forward who scores 20 plus goals, it's very hard to say it's been a failure. And you know, I think what's been a failure for Mo Salah this year has been the other parts of his game. You know, I think his first touch hasn't been as good. His passing hasn't been as good. He's given the ball away far too many times. So I guess if you cut his game in half, the build-up and the finishing, I think you've got to say the finishing is a success because 20 plus goals. But the team play has been, well, in my opinion, a failure. They've
more than made up for it in terms of goals from the front three and elsewhere as well. Yep. Scored the same number of goals as they did last year and, of course, got 2 more league games to play. So those other elements, what do you put it down to for him in terms of the team play? Is it confidence? Is it just adjusting?
Do you know, I think we look back at last year and we talk about how many goals he got. And I think there's a little part of him started thinking about that and started thinking he had to match it or even beat it. And then, of course, when you do that, you're taking away that natural calmness, if you want, particularly in front of goal. I think he's lost a little bit of composure in front of goal because he so wants to show everybody that last year just wasn't a fluke. But as I said, it's kind of difficult to get on him because he's got, what, 21 league goals. So, yeah, I think it's all down to composure, and I think it's all down, and that's because of his desire to try and match what he did last year. His touch hasn't been great because he's anxious, and that's basically the obvious way, I think, to explain it. Anxious and lack of composure.
They've improved so much defensively as a team, and it's been a big part of what the title challenge has all been about. Yep. How would you see the team going forward in terms of how they play? Does it affect the way that the front three operate now that they're more solid at the back? Are they more patient? Is that maybe another facet of it? They're less explosive, they're less relying on that break, or do you see it still just as important?
I don't... Listen, any player will tell you, particularly forwards, that if you're not letting goals in at the back, it takes a little bit of pressure off you to put chances away. Because if you're shipping goals in, that means you have to combat that with goals in the other end, which puts more pressure on the front three. So I think the fact that Liverpool have been so much better, well, they've been light years away from where they were before Alisson and Van Dijk came in, takes the pressure off the forward line. And so, listen, there's no question, Liverpool, in order to take the next step, we all expect City to win the last 2 games, certainly I do, which means Liverpool won't win the league. Now, to get better, they have to strengthen. And particularly up front. You know, the front three, you take any of them away, right now we're looking at Origi coming in. That's one huge drop off from the normal front three. You can't have that if you want to win titles. And you only have to look at Man City as the example. You know, if Aguero comes off, they're bringing on Jesus. So Liverpool, in order to take that final step, I think are solid in the back. I think they're real solid and do the job that Klopp wants in the middle. But I just think they need a little bit of help up front, a bit of cover, so that maybe he can rest 1 or 2 a little more often. But certainly if needs be and somebody gets injured, you can't have the drop-off they have right now.
Yeah, we see it with Tottenham, don't we, with Harry Kane, in terms of the question is always who's going to fill the void, and of course Son's done a tremendous job. What kind of player would you bring in then to help the front three, to help Salah out? Would you want the player who can play the same system, or would you want someone who can maybe cover in a sort of a plan B type approach?
No, I think you bring somebody in who plays, who will fit seamlessly in when needed to that system. The problem is, what kind of player are you going to get? Are you going to get the finished article to come to Liverpool and play second fiddle to the front three right now, that's going to be very difficult. It's going to have to be, in my opinion, a younger player who's on the rise that Liverpool can bring in, who will be willing to sit and bide his time and eventually get his starting place in the front three. So that's really the problem Liverpool will have. Not identifying where they need to strengthen, but being able to get somebody of a higher quality other than Origi right now, who's going to come in and be happy to, just for now, sit and play second fiddle. That's not going to be easy.
And just to surmise then, really with Salah, if he can improve the areas that you've talked about, just a little bit of drop-off, a little bit of anxiety, maybe if you can get that out of the game, you see no reason why those numbers won't return? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, well, listen, for him, next season could completely go the other way, you know, because he'll be saying, okay, well, I need to beat 21. That's a lot easier than beating 40. So psychologically next year, it might be a little easier for him.
All right, well, we'll see how he gets on, see how Liverpool get on between now and the end of the season as well. There's still time, of course, for the narrative to all change, for Salah to be that match winner. And of course, there's no bigger game than a Champions League semi-final, come back against Barcelona to do that in, and maybe in the final 2 games of the title chase as well.